Act 1. The man who did everything right. He woke up at 5:12 a.m. Not because an alarm rang, but because his body had been trained to wake up early for years. The room was quiet. Too quiet. No notifications. No mensajes. No missed calls. Just silence. He sat on the edge of the bed for a moment, staring at the wall, as if waiting for something to happen. Something always used to happen. A message from work. Ah, reminder. A reason to move fast. But today, nothing. Still, he followed the routine. Bathroom. Cold water on his face. Mirror. The same face he had seen for decades. Tired eyes. Faint lines on the forehead. A man who looked older than his age. He whispered to himself. Almost like a habit. Just do everything right. That's enough. That belief had carried him through most of his life. Rules were simple. Work hard. Stay honest. Don't cut corners. Trust the system, and the system will protect you. That's what he was told. That's what he believed. He made coffee the same way he always did. 2 spoons of sugar. 1 slow stir. He sat at the kitchen table. Unopened mail spread in front of him like silent accusations. Red stamps. Official envelopes. His name printed in bold black ink. He didn't open them yet, because deep down, he already knew. For years, he had been the kind of man no one noticed. And that was intentional. He paid taxes on time, filed documents early, never argued, never complained. At work, he followed protocols so strictly that co-workers sometimes joked, "You trying to win an award for being perfect?" He would smile politely, because being perfect felt safe. Mistakes were dangerous. He wasn't born privileged. No shore. No connections. Just rules, and the promise that rules were fair. His father used to say the same thing again and again. If you don't break the rules won't break you. That sentence became law inside his head. So when others bent things quietly, when others found faster ways, when others signed papers without reading, waited, he double-checked. He followed every instruction line by line. Sometimes it cost him time. Sometimes it cost him money. But he told himself, this is the price of doing things right. The day everything began to collapse didn't feel dramatic. No explosion. No explosion. No shouting. No warning. Just a letter. 1 sentence in cold, official language. Your compliance status is under review. Under review. Those 2 words changed everything. At first, he wasn't afraid. Why would he be? He had nothing to hide. He gathered documents calmly, receipts from years ago, emails carefully archived, forms signed exactly where required. He walked into the office with confidence, the quiet confidence of a man who believed truth spoke for itself. The officer didn't even look at him properly, just flipped pages, typed something. Baus, then asked a question that felt, "Do run. Why did you follow this instruction exactly?" Blink it. "Because that's what it says," he replied. The officer frowned slightly. That's not how people usually do it. That sentence landed heavier than it should have. Not how people usually do it. For the first time, doubt crept in. Not about himself, but about the system. He tried to explain. Slowly, respectfully, he pointed at the lines. Te rules. Te clauses. The officer nodded, but not in agreement. In These, Misal. Someone will contact you, the officer said, already reaching for the next file. Just like that, he was done. No clarity, no reassurance. Just waiting. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The silence became unbearable. Accounts were frozen temporarily. Payments delayed pending verification. Phone calls ended with scripted apologies. We understand your concern. No, they didn't. At night, he lay awake, replaying everything. Did I feel something wrong? Did I misunderstand a rule? Did honesty actually make me suspicious? That thought scared him more than any accusation. People around him noticed the change. He stopped laughing, stopped planning, stopped buying anything unnecessary. His family asked gentle questions he didn't know how to answer. It's just a process, he said. Everything is fine. But everything was not fine. Because processes don't look at you like a criminal when you've done nothing wrong. Processes don't erase years of clean records with one click. Processes don't punish obedience. Or dote? One evening, he finally opened the last envelope. Inside was a notice. Formal, emotionless, devastating. Benefits. Benefits revoked. Access restricted. Further action pending. No explanation. No timeline. Just consequences. He sat there for a long time, holding the paper with trembling hands. He hadn't broken a single rule. Not one. And yet, he was being treated like he had broken all of them. That night, something inside him cracked. Not anger. Say, fear. A quiet, suffocating fear, because if the rules didn't protect him. What? Wolf. He looked at his reflection again. Same man. Same man, but now a question echoed in his mind. A question that would haunt him for the rest of this story. What happens to a man who follows every rule when the system decides the rules don't matter anymore? And worse. What if doing everything right was the very reason he lost everything? Act the man they brought in chains. The prison transport van didn't look special. No sirens. No flashing lights. Just another dull gray vehicle rolling through early morning traffic. People crossed the street without looking twice. No one knew that inside that van sat a man whose name had once made entire neighborhoods go silent. His wrists were cuffed in front of him, his ankles chained. His orange jumpsuit looked oversized, almost sloppy. To anyone watching, he was just another criminal being dragged to court. But the officers inside the van knew better. They weren't talking, not joking, not checking their phones. Their hands stayed close to their holsters. The silence wasn't routine. It was fear.
The man in the middle seat. The man sat with his head lowered, dark hair slightly graying at the temples. A faint scar ran from his left eyebrow down to his cheek, old, healed, deliberate. His eyes were calm, too calm. Not the calm of resignation, the calm of calculation. Officer Daniels sat across from him, watching every breath. Daniels had been on the force for 17 years. He had transported killers, seen men cry, seen men beg. This one, he didn't do either. The man slowly lifted his eyes. They locked onto Daniels, and for half a second Daniels felt something tighten in his chest. Not anger, recognition, like prey realizing it had been seen. The man gave the smallest smile, not friendly, not threatening, just knowing. Daniels looked away first, who he was supposed to be. On paper the file was clean. Name, Marcus Halley. Age, 38. Charges, Weapons possession, obstruction, resisting arrest. Status, high-risk detainee. No mention of gangs. No mention of prior convictions beyond minor offenses. Too clean. Officer Ruiz had whispered earlier, "This file feels wrong." Daniels had nodded. Files didn't lie, but they often hid. Courthouse arrival. The courthouse steps were crowded. Reporters, defense attorneys, families waiting for hearings. No one cared about Marcus Holly, at least not yet. The van doors opened. The sound echoed. Metal on metal. The officers stepped out first. Then Marcus. Chains clinked with each step. Cameras clicked half-heartedly, then turned away. No drama. No headline. Just another man walking toward judgment. Marcus paused for a moment. He lifted his head, looked at the building, at the flag, at the sky. He inhaled slowly, like someone stepping into a place he already owned. Inside the courtroom. Courtroom 4B was small. Wood-paneled walls. Faded flags. A judge known for speed, not patience. Judge Raymond Keller took his seat. Gray hair. Heavy lines under his eyes. A man who believed order could be enforced by routine alone. Marcus was led to the defense table. Public defender assigned. Young, nervous, already overwhelmed. She whispered, "Just answer when spoken to." No sudden movements. Marcus nodded politely. His eyes never left the room. He wasn't watching people. He was measuring them. The first crack. Proceedings began normally. Charges read. Rights explained. Marcus answered calmly. "Yes, Your Honor." "No, Your Honor." His voice was steady. Too steady. Officer Daniels stood near the wall. He felt sweat gathering under his collar. Something was wrong. Not loud wrong. Quiet wrong. The kind that explodes later. The prosecutor speaks. The prosecutor stood. Mid-40s. Confident. Unaware. She argued detention without bail. Standard language. Danger to the community. Risk of flight. Judge Keller nodded. Routine. He turned to Marcus. "Do you understand the charges against you?" Marcus stood. Slowly. Chains rattled. "Yes, Your Honor." His voice echoed more than it should have. Judge Keller paused. "Sit." Marcus didn't. Not immediately. Instead, he looked directly at the judge and smiled. That same small smile. The room shifts. Officer Ruiz took a step forward. Instinct. Daniel's hand moved closer to his weapon. The judge frowned. "Mr. Holly, sit down." Marcus tilted his head. "Before I do," he said calmly, "I'd like to correct something." The courtroom froze. The prosecutor opened her mouth. The judge raised a hand. "This is not the time." "You said I'm a danger," Marcus interrupted. Gasps. No one interrupted Judge Keller. "Ever," Marcus continued. "But you don't know what kind." Silence. The air felt heavier. Marcus finally sat. Chains clinking softly. Judge Keller leaned forward. "This court will not tolerate." Marcus looked up again. This time his smile was gone. "You brought me here," he said quietly. "In chains. In public." His eyes flicked to the officers. "You made it a show." Daniels felt his pulse spike. The name that wasn't in the file. Marcus leaned back. Relaxed. "You should have checked the old files." The prosecutor scoffed. Judge Keller frowned. What files? Marcus looked directly at Officer Daniels. Ask him. Every eye turned. Daniels swallowed. He hadn't checked old files. He'd trusted the system. Judge Keller turned sharply. Officer? Daniels hesitated, then said the truth. There were sealed records, Your Honor. The murmur spread. Marcus nodded. Sealed, he repeated. For a reason, the truth leaks out. The prosecutor snapped. Enough theatrics. Marcus laughed softly. The sound was wrong in that room. You think this is theater? He asked. He leaned forward. 10 years ago, 3 districts shut down overnight. No one spoke. 8 witnesses disappeared. A reporter's pen froze midair. 2 judges resigned. Judge Keller's face drained of color. Marcus met his eyes. You signed one of those orders. The courtroom erupted. Order, Keller shouted, slamming the gavel. But his hand was shaking. The switch. Officer Ruiz moved closer. Marcus noticed. He nodded approvingly. Good instincts, Marcus said. Ruiz bristled. This is your last warning. Marcus stood. Fast. Too fast. Chains snapped tight. Chaos exploded. The attack, Marcus twisted. Hard. The chain between his wrists wrapped around Ruiz's forearm. A sickening crack. Ruiz screamed. The courtroom screamed louder. Daniels lunged. Marcus ducked. Headbutt. Daniels felt stars. The judge stood, shouting for order that no longer existed. Marcus moved like he'd rehearsed this. Calculated. Efficient. He slammed Ruiz into the defense table. The public defender screamed and ran. Marcus grabbed Ruiz's radio. Pressed the button. Code black, he said calmly. Then dropped it. Judge's eyes. Judge Keller backed away. Fear carved deep lines into his face. Marcus turned to him. Slowly. Blood smeared across his knuckles. This, Marcus said, breathing steadily, is what you buried. He stepped closer. Guards rushed in. Batons swung. Marcus took hits. Didn't stop. Didn't slow. He reached the bench, leaning in close. You thought silence would save you. Keller collapsed into his chair. The fall. More officers poured in. Tasers fired. Marcus finally dropped, convulsing, foam at his lips. But his eyes, still sharp, still focused. They dragged him away. Blood streaked the floor. The courtroom was destroyed. Broken chairs. Screaming people. A judge shaking. Officer Daniels sat against the wall. Head spinning. Heart pounding. He looked at Marcus being hauled out and realized the truth. They hadn't brought a man to court. They'd brought a war. Final act. What comes after court? The courthouse went silent after Marcus was taken away. Not the calm kind of silence. The kind that follows something unnatural. Broken chairs lay scattered across the marble floor. A judge sat frozen, staring at a bench that no longer felt like a place of authority. Blood had stained the seal of justice. And everyone present understood one thing. This case was no longer about law. It was about survival. The system tries to take control. Within hours, the footage was everywhere. Phones, security cameras, leaks. The headline didn't say attack. It said failure. Internal Affairs sealed the courtroom records. The prosecutor's office announced a full investigation. Marcus was transferred to a high-security holding facility, off the books, off the grid, but the officers involved knew better. You don't cage a man like Marcus. You delay him. Daniels can't sleep. Officer Daniels sat alone in his apartment that night. Ice on his ribs, bandage on his head, TV off. The room felt watched. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Marcus's face, calm, controlled, almost amused. This was just court. Daniels realized something too late. That wasn't a threat. It was a timeline. The first message. At 3:17 a.m., Daniel's phone vibrated. No number, no contact name, just a message. You did your job today. Then another. Don't do it again. Daniels didn't reply, because deep down he already knew. This wasn't intimidation. It was permission. The witness who disappeared. 2 days later, the prosecution lost its key witness, a man scheduled to testify about Marcus's operations. Official reports said, missed his flight. Unofficial truth, his apartment was empty. Food still warm on the table. Phone left behind. No signs of struggle, just absence. The prosecutor requested emergency protection for all remaining witnesses. The request was denied. No reason given. The judge steps down. The judge from the courtroom incident resigned quietly. No press conference. No explanation. Just a letter citing personal safety concerns. For the first time in decades, the courthouse felt smaller than the man it was supposed to contain. Marcus speaks without speaking. Marcus never gave an interview, never made a statement, never denied anything. Yet somehow the city began to move differently. A gang truce appeared overnight. A corrupt union leader vanished. A shipment seizure was reversed without explanation. Marcus wasn't acting. He was allowing. Daniels gets an offer. A week later, Daniels was called into a private meeting. No badge numbers. No uniforms. Just men in suits. They didn't threaten him. They thanked him. For what? Daniels asked. For showing restraint, one of them replied. Then the real offer came. A transfer. A promotion. A quiet desk job far from courts and cameras. All he had to do was stay silent. Daniels understood the deal instantly. Justice had a price, and Marcus had already paid it. The final hearing that never happened. The final court date was announced, then postponed, then postponed again. New charges quietly disappeared. Evidence went missing. By the time the public noticed, the case was no longer news, just another headline replaced by another crisis. Marcus was never acquitted. He didn't need to be. The last encounter. Months later, Daniel saw Marcus one last time. Not in court. Not in cuffs. At an airport lounge. Marcus was free. No guards. No rush. As Daniels walked past, Marcus looked up. Same calm eyes. Same unreadable expression. He nodded once. Not in victory. In acknowledgement. As if to say, you learned? What the city learned, the city told itself a comforting lie. That justice had been served quietly. That order had been restored. But everyone who had been in that courtroom knew the truth. The law didn't lose that day. It stepped aside, because some men don't fear the courtroom. They only use it to remind the system who's really in control.